Go inside the Crimson Tide with your hosts Rodney Orr and Gary Harris, keeping you informed on everything Alabama. And now, Tider Insider TV.
The Alabama baseball team, the number 9 seed in the SEC tournament, is in action right now against the number 8 seed Kentucky Wildcats. Bama needs a win to advance into the double elimination portion of the tournament and might honestly need a win to get into the NCAA tournament. So far, so good. They got a 2-run single by Hunter Webb following a bases-loaded walk in the second. That's all 3 runs. The only mistake Nick Eichholz made was a solo home run. He's been good on the mound. Alabama leading in the 7th inning 3-1. And if the Crimson Tide wins, they'll play top seed Mississippi State tomorrow afternoon. We'll update you before the end of the cast, but this could be a huge win for Alabama tonight. And good evening, everybody, and welcome in to Tider Insider TV, presented by Buffalo Rock. Alongside Rodney Orr from TiderInsider.com, I'm Gary Harris. Once again tonight, we are going to enjoy some Diet Pepsi Wild Cherry. Very refreshing and always comes in handy before doing Tider Insider TV. Remember to pick up some Pepsi products the next time you're at your local grocery store. So Rodney, Alabama needs that win to stay alive in the SEC tournament, as I said, but also probably needs to win it tonight so that they'll hear their name called on Sunday when the NCAA tournament field is announced. Alabama came into this game with a 60th ranked RPI. There are 64 teams that make it into the tournament. So if Bama doesn't hang on and win this game, their regional future is definitely in question as far as the postseason is concerned.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know, just a week ago, we were kind of hoping for 18-12, and you know, they kind of folded there with getting swept, and now 15-15, and so obviously this is clutch right here, Gary. This game right here could determine, as you said, much of the future. You
know, they got to 15-12, as you alluded to, coming off the sweep at Arkansas. They won 5 of their last 6, but I will point out that the teams they won 5 of their last 6 against before the South Carolina series were Arkansas and Auburn, the 2 teams that didn't make it into the field at Hoover. So obviously those were the 2 weakest teams in the SEC. I had high expectations going into the South Carolina series. They lost the first 2 games on Thursday and Friday. And then Mitch Gaspard, Rodney, quite frankly, he made a decision to pitch John Keller on Saturday and hold Nick Eichholz for this game today. The thought being that they wanted to get a win in the SEC tournament. Of course, if you pitch Eichholz and you beat South Carolina, you're probably in regardless. But right now, at least, saving Eichholz for today is looking pretty good. He's pitching a heck of a game so far.
Well, that's fantastic. I mean, certainly, you know, pitching's been the strong point, Gary. It's just been the inconsistent hitting that they've had this year, producing runs. But, you know, again, this game here certainly will determine you know, where they go from here.
Yeah, and there's no doubt. Mitch Gaspard's career, his future as the head coach is in doubt. He needs to get this team into a regional. A win today would be a big step in the right direction. We'll update you again as the show goes on. Well, the Alabama softball team had no problems in its regional last week. The Tide swept through its 3 games, outscoring their opponents by a combined 14-1. And Alabama, the number 6 national seed, will host the number 11 national seed Washington in the Super Regional beginning on Friday, wrapping up on Saturday. Last year, the Huskies came to Tuscaloosa for the regional round and did not play their best right here in Tuscaloosa. So they are going to, Rodney, according to Coach Murphy, have a chip on their shoulder. They're a really good team. I've read some of the national predictions, and some of the you know, experts, so-called experts, are picking Washington to win this Super Regional Series. So Alabama could have its hands full this weekend at the Rhodes House.
Well, first of all, they're coming back. You know, they've been here before, right?
Right.
And okay, well, they're pretty familiar with what they're coming into. And you're right. I said last week on the show when we were talking that if it got to this point, that a lot of people around the country were picking Washington to upset the Tide, come to Tuscaloosa and make it happen.
You know, the one thing, though, they were here last year for the regional, but I'm picking Bama. I like Bama, and I like them a lot, and I'll tell you why. Osorio and Littlejohn toward the end of the SEC season started struggling a little bit, but that was an SEC play. Teams knew them. They knew their style. Washington has to come here, having not seen those pitchers. Osorio really got in a groove in the regional. They're at the Rhodes House. I like Washington as a team. I think they're good. I think Alabama's better. I think Alabama will go to the College World Series again this year. But you have to win on Friday night because I think the winner of that game obviously has the advantage, because on Saturday it's hard to beat a good team twice, whether it's Alabama or Washington. So whoever wins Friday night's in the catbird seat, but they'll play a second game on Saturday, then the if necessary game following game 2 on Saturday afternoon. So it's possible to win 2 games on Saturday, but that Friday night game is crucial.
Well, I'm with you. I think that this Alabama team right now is playing well. Gary, the pitching, as you mentioned, and all of those things, they've got the home field advantage. Everything working in their favor right now. I think they're going to be tough to beat. I do give Washington credit. I'm sure they've got a little, as you said, chip on their shoulder. But I think Alabama right now, if I had to bet, I'd certainly go with the Tide.
And Leona Lafayette just continues to hit home runs like they're going out of style. Should be a lot of fun, though, beginning Friday at the Rhodes House. Well, still to come on Tider Insider TV, Alabama's 2016 football roster may not be complete just yet. We'll have more on a graduate transfer who has visited Tuscaloosa. Plus, it's the off season, so Nick Saban is getting his golf game in shape. Yeah, at least as much as he can play. He plays at this time of the year. And also, he will talk some football as well. And we'll be taking your phone calls, as we always do here on the program. And this is the time of the year where it's a lot easier to get through. So if you want to get through, call 205-348-WVUA. That's 205-348-9882. Email us at TITV@WVUA23.com, or you can send us a question or comment on Twitter using the hashtag TITV. We'll be right back with the only show that takes you inside the Crimson Tide, Tider Insider TV. We'll return right after this break. Alabama head coach Nick Saban was on the golf course this morning in Sylacauga for the inaugural Lutzy 43 Invitational, created in the memory of former Auburn tight end Philip Lutzenkirchen. It's the second charity golf appearance for Saban in the last week. Last week he was at the Regent Tradition Pro-Am in Birmingham. It was there in Birmingham that Saban was asked about a college football commissioner, something he said he supported earlier this month.
There's a lot of issues that maybe somebody who just looked at everything from the top of the house and never really looked at it from their conference standpoint or what their agenda might be as a program would be beneficial. And I know this is very difficult for the NCAA to do, because you really need to get people who are sort of aware of what's happening, that have experience in the game and can anticipate some of the unintended consequences we have of some of the things that we do.
And welcome back to Tider Insider TV. Some of the things Saban's referenced, Rodney, were draft rules, player safety decisions, satellite camps. You know, I got to tell you, I'm interested in your opinion, but I'm with him. I think college football in the Power 5 conferences is at a point where you need someone to specifically look at that one sport and what's in the best interest for everybody. I think it's time for a commission.
I haven't really thought that much about it, so I haven't given it a lot of, I don't have a lot of insight on it, but it does sound like a really good idea, and something that I would think that is coming.
Yeah.
From what I hear, I think it's coming.
Well, there's so many issues that are just football specific only, and this is meant with no disrespect to the other sports, but let's just tell it like it is. You look at these athletic departments, Alabama included, and college football pays for most of these sports. That's just the reality of it. Men's basketball helps with the TV money, but most of these sports, while we pull for the teams to win and we want to see them do well, we want to see them have top facilities, they don't make money. College football is the breadwinner in an athletic department. It's huge. There are a lot of decisions, and as he said, and he didn't come out and say, the NCAA is pretty toothless, basically. They don't have the clout they used to have. They don't have the people in position to oversee and run college football the way it needs to be overseen and ran. You need a college football czar, if you will, in my opinion.
Well, and again, I think it's coming, Gary. I think you laid it out really well right there, and there's a lot of, when you talk about having a college football commissioner, I think that could be really valuable. When you're talking about, as you mentioned, the NCAA, where have they gone?
Right.
You wonder sometimes.
They're in hiding.
You really wonder.
Yeah, they're just not the prominent organization as far as college football is concerned that they once were. Well, Rodney, Alabama still may not be finished filling out its 2016 football roster just yet. Former Utah defensive tackle Steve Tuikolovatu, I said it so well earlier, Steve Tuikolovatu visited Alabama yesterday. Tuikolovatu is a graduate transfer, which means he's eligible to play right away. 6'1", 320 pounds. Here you see him scoring a touchdown for the Utes last year. He had 28 tackles, including 6 tackles for loss, caused some fumbles. He's wearing number 90, just like Jaron Reed did. Alabama has a little depth issue there at defensive tackle. This is a guy who you might could plug in and play right away. Definitely,
Gary, when you're talking about, obviously Alabama really wanted Josiah Coatney, who was a junior college player who will be eligible now. He's going to decided on Ole Miss. Miss. But, they really would like some depth on the defensive line. You're talking about right now in terms of guys that probably are ready to play, maybe 5. Obviously, they have some guys coming in this class that could be helped, but you want a guy, Gary, who can step in as a veteran-type player, who can lend some depth there, and I think this guy certainly could do that. There's just not a lot of them available.
Might have to get used to saying his name. No problem with the Steve. With the Tui Kolavatu. It's not that hard until you have to try to say it on TV. And it's easy before you get on the air. I got it now. Tui Kolavatu.
Yeah, you said it perfectly when you were talking to me on the phone.
You're doggone right I did, and I'll be saying it if he signs with Alabama. You can bet on that. Well, coming up on Tider Insider TV, a pair of former Alabama running backs are looking good in their NFL uniforms. You don't believe me? We'll show you. But up next, it's phone call time. Hey, and listen, there's Kenyon Drake, by the way, looking good. Derrick Henry as well. But we need some phone calls. We really, really do. They're wide open right now. Again, this is the time of the year where it's a little bit slow. So if you want to get through and have your voice heard, you can do so. Give us a dial right now at 205-348-WVUA. That's 348-9882. You can get through. You can also email us at the address there on your screen, or you can send a question or comment to us on Twitter using the hashtag TITV. We'll be back with your comments. That's coming up next on Tider Insider Television. Former Bama running backs Derrick Henry and Kenyon Drake showed off their new NFL duds. Look at those unis at the NFLPA Rookie Premiere in Los Angeles over the weekend. While Drake is looking forward to getting started with the Miami Dolphins, he says he still values his time with the Crimson Tide.
Love being in Bama, best 4 years of my life, hands down. And, I'm going to miss my old coaches, my old teammates, but, they're going to do just fine. And, I'm looking forward to, future successes also there.
Somebody called me yesterday, said I was a little tough on the Tide on the radio yesterday. I just said, hey, a lot of question marks about this team.
Oh, sure.
There's 2 of them right there. You don't lose 2 guys like that.
Yeah. Hey, and plus, you're basically replacing most of your offensive line with guys that's never played before.
Defensive line.
New quarterback, new running backs, as you mentioned.
It's got some. This team has question marks. Maybe people want to talk about some of those question marks right now on our phone calls. You can call us 205-348-WVUA. Let's go to Little Kenny first up in Havana. Hey, Little Kenny, what's up?
Hey, guys. It's good to take my call. My call relates to the record of Alabama baseball team, and how does it relate or not relate to the success or lack of success to the Mitch Gaspard coaching staff recruiting efforts? Thank you.
Well, look, Kenny, I'll say this, and I think Rodney's going to back me up on this. Everything starts with recruiting at every program at this university. That's where it starts. You don't get top-tier athletes in. It's going to be hard to win at the highest level. Having said that, how does the staff success affect recruiting? It does. There's no doubt about it. A lot of players want to feel like they're going to a place that has a chance to compete. So when you struggle to compete, then you struggle to recruit. They had the facility issue. That's over with now. Sewell Thomas Stadium is as nice as any facility in the country, as well as the supporting facilities for baseball. So that's out of the way. But, yeah, recruiting has been an issue, in my opinion, Rodney. I don't think they've recruited enough top-tier baseball players to compete for SEC championships.
Yeah, possibly so, too. And I've always thought Mitch Gaspard was an outstanding talent evaluator. There's no doubt about that. Going back to his days as an assistant here, he was a top-notch recruiter for Jim Wells, and I thought he did an outstanding job of evaluating talent. Now, exactly, what's gone wrong at this point in time is hard to say. Now, there's also another end of that. You can evaluate well, you can recruit well, and then you have to develop what you have.
Yeah, you still got to coach when they get here. I don't want to underplay the coaching role. I'm just saying, to win at the highest level, I don't think you're going to take average players too often and win championships.
Right, and again, it may be the recruiting aspect of it. Maybe it has fallen off, but at the same time, I think it's a kind of a 3-pronged deal. You have to evaluate, you have to recruit, and you have to develop.
And I do think, Rodney, they've struggled to develop players, particularly hitters. I mean, I think there are some players on that team that are better hitters than they are showing. And that comes down to not getting the most production out of those players. But, it's the chicken and the egg theory here. Do you need better players, or do you need to develop the players better that you have? Right now, this staff, they're fighting to keep their jobs over there in Birmingham this week. I don't think there's any doubt about that. All right, let's go to Brent and talk to Rick. Rick, what's up, man?
I'm doing fine. How are y'all?
Doing well, buddy. Good to hear from you.
Yes, sir. I was wondering, can we have a new update on Tony Brown? or do we know what the NCAA, what he did against the NCAA?
Well,
All right,
Rick,
thank you, Rick.
Yeah, Rick. You know, right now, I have not heard anything new on Tony Brown. Of course, facing a suspension, or how long it'll be. There's not been any sort of announcement to this point. So we just kind of have to wait till Coach Saban releases that.
All right, thanks for those phone calls. We're not done yet. Plenty more still to come here on TITV. The Women's Golf National Championships just wrapped up, while the Men's Golf Championships will start this coming weekend. We'll break down both Alabama teams for you. And more of your phone calls, emails, and tweets. That's right. If you haven't gotten through already but you still want to do so, all you have to do is do what those two gentlemen did, Little Kenny and Rick. Call us at 205-348-9882. You can get through. You can still email us at the address on your screen, or you can go to Twitter. Katarina is waiting for your tweets right now as we speak at hashtag TITV. We'll be right back with more phone calls, emails, and tweets on this edition of Tider Insider TV after this timeout. The Alabama women's golf team struggled mightily in the first round of the NCAA championships in Eugene, Oregon, but the Tide managed to make it to the top 15 and advance on to the final round of stroke play. It's the 9th straight year they finished in the top 15, but they did not get into the final 8 for match play. They finished at 12th place overall, 21 over. Freshman Cheyenne Knight, though, led the Tide at 6 under for the 4-day tournament. She's going to be really good. Knight finished tied for 4th in the individual competition. The men's golf championships start this coming Friday. Alabama left out for Eugene, Oregon today. We were there. Crimson Tide is looking to win its 3rd championship in the last 4 years. That's national championship. And despite an up-and-down finish to the season, head coach Jay Sewell feels really good about where his team is at right now.
We saw a nice rebound in the regionals, and I believe we're starting to peak. And so, it's a long week. There are a lot of great teams. We're just basically, our motto is just going to embrace the adventure, which each day has.
I think Coach is happy with where we're at right now, and we have the confidence of knowing he's happy with the team and happy with the progress we're making. So I think we'll ride that and kind of ride our depth and know that, one another have each other's backs.
Watch out for the Tide. The women kind of had a disappointing finish to the season. I think this team may surprise some people. Let's find out later in the week. All right, let's go right back to the phone lines. And BT is up with us. What's up, BT?
What's up, Gary Harris and Rodney Orr?
How you doing, BT?
Good. How about y'all?
Doing well, doing well. What you got, BT?
What I want to ask this, Rodney and Gary, that about how you feel that the new assistant coaches for the Avery team going to be.
Oh, you mean for basketball team?
Yes, sir.
Oh, well, John Pelfrey, I think he's going to fit in great, man. I mean, you're talking about a former head coach in the SEC at Arkansas, great assistant for a long time at Florida, player at Kentucky, had tremendous success as the head coach at South Alabama. I think this is an awesome hire for Avery Johnson.
Yeah, I think when you're talking about recruiting, understanding the area and all of those things in the SEC, how to recruit in the SEC, and also I think what he does, Gary, what he's going to bring is he's going to really bring something to the floor. He's a really good coach.
All right, yeah, I agree with you. All right, let's go to, a lot of people might say Wedowee, but those of us who grew up in East Alabama know it's Wedowee. Hey, James, how you doing?
I'm doing fine, Gad. What I'm talking about, would y'all sort of elaborate on, he might start on the offensive line, and one player I want to know about was Bradley Bozeman from Roanoke, Alabama.
Yeah, down there at Hanley High School.
Yes, sir. Y'all elaborate on that for me, please.
Yeah, we will. I'll let Rodney pick up on the offensive line. Yeah, roll tide. First of all, I'll tell you this. I've always liked Bradley Bozeman. I think he's a tough, hard-nosed football player, probably better in the run game than he is as a pass blocker. He factors in this offensive line. There's some positions up for grabs, Rod.
There is. And when you look at it right now, I mean, it could go a lot of different ways. A lot of guys got opportunities in the spring. We'll see how it shakes out. Obviously, Cam Robinson's at left tackle. Corin Curvin's another tackle that I think has an opportunity to get some playing time. And at right tackle, possibly true freshman Jonah Williams. You look at left guard, Lester Cotton seems to be the guy from here in Tuscaloosa. Ross Piercebaker, who started 15 games last year at left guard, now looks like the center. And then at right guard, either Shank Taylor, if he can lose that weight that Coach Saban talked about, or possibly redshirt freshman Brandon Kennedy.
You know, good thing about a guy like Bozeman, though, is he can play a lot of different positions.
Versatility. You know, he started games as a redshirt freshman at center and has been at guard, played some tackle. Actually, I think in A-Day game he worked at left tackle some. So, you know, he is a guy that brings a lot of versatility. All
right, let's go to Bessemer and talk to our buddy John. Hadn't heard from John in a while. What's up, man?
Gary, Ronnie, what's going on, man?
You know it.
Hey, Bill, I'm calling about the two football players. Is Nick Saban going to let them come back and play football? And I wonder, asked about the running backs. What we do about running backs this year?
All right, let's take Cam Robinson, Hootie Jones first. Nothing new on that. They're going to be arraigned June 6th down in Louisiana. Nick Saban hasn't made any decisions. He did speak on it last week, saying that he wants to let the legal system do its work. But my feeling is if that felony gun charge is dropped against Cam Robinson, I think both those players will be back on the team in 2016. That's my opinion. Yeah. Nick Saban's announced nothing yet.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. And again, you're right. He hasn't announced anything. But I think some things may change in Cam Robinson's favor in that deal. But, we'll just have to kind of wait and let it see how it shakes out, John. But I'll tell you this about running backs. I've always thought that Bo Scarborough had as much potential probably when you're talking about just athletically and all of his skills as any running back that's been through here. Again, he's had a history of injuries, the 2 knee injuries, 1 in high school, 1 last spring. So he's got to stay healthy. But when you're talking about a guy 6'1", 235 pounds, Gary, with his kind of speed and athletic ability, he's also a tremendous receiver. I think he can be a big-time player, but I think he's going to need some help. Damian Harris, I thought he ran with a different personality in the spring. I thought he ran with a lot of confidence. I really liked what I saw from him. So they're going to need those 2 guys and possibly a freshman, B.J. Emmons from North Carolina. Keep an eye on him. He's really good. He'll be here pretty soon.
All right, thanks for those phone calls. Good job. Some good calls tonight. Still to come, another former Alabama football player signs his rookie contract in the NFL. Keep it with us on Tider Insider TV. We'll be back after the break. Former Alabama linebacker Reggie Ragland signed his rookie deal with the Buffalo Bills today. He was the 41st overall pick in the draft in the 2nd round. That means Kenyon Drake, who you saw earlier, is now the only drafted player from Alabama yet to sign his rookie deal. Come on, Kenyon, get with it. Got to get you signed, sealed, and delivered to the Dolphins. Ragland is a Buffalo Bill. Bama baseball. This one's going down to the wire. Kentucky, remember, has the final at bat. They're the home team. Alabama leads as we play in the bottom of the 8th, 3-2 over the Wildcats. A tight one over at the Hoover Met. Well, our beautiful shirts and ties provided tonight, as always, by the Locker Room in downtown Tuscaloosa, home of the original Elephant Wear. Go by and see Alex Gatewood and his courteous staff, or shop online at their website, locker-room.biz, and get hooked up like Rodney and I are with some original Elephant Wear or any of their other great men's and women's clothing at the Locker Room. That's going to do it for the show tonight. You can catch a replay at 10:30 or find it anytime on our website, WVUA23.com. For Rodney Orr, I'm Gary Harris. Have a good night, everyone.